Hello, one and all, and welcome back, yes back, to the Great Unknown Audio Show with me, the most illustrious host, the most appropriate face for radio, the one, the only, Maxim Jennings. I'm back. It's been a few days since I spoke to you, and we've got a little bit to talk about, to recap some friendships made over a short period of time, what the tour's been like, and last time I spoke to you, I was very thankful and very culturally galvanised by the history, traditions, and thoughts of the Maori people. And following that, I've been to 3 different destinations. One on the South Island, which is where I am now, right by Lake Tekapo, or Takapo, as it should have been called, but it was mispronounced when the town was being written up in the history books. So Lake Takapo, which is a beautiful light blue colour. We're about 2 hours away from Mount Cook, which is probably the most famous mountain in all of New Zealand. But it is absolutely beautiful here. Tonight we're going to go to a selection of hot pools, hot springs, and have a little soak, as it is quite cold here. So sometimes the antithesis, or the oxymoron? Oh, that's what I am. No, I'm an oxymoron of hot and cold. It's quite nice. So the cold air combined with the warm water should be quite enjoyable for a nighttime dip. But anyway, let me take you back. So after going and doing the whole Maori experience, Maori, however you want it, no, not however you want to say it right, Maxim, Maori experience, we made our way down to New Zealand's largest lake, with a town connected to it, Lake Taupo, and there we had our first ever try of pick what you want sushi. Notorious with New Zealand sushi, obviously. Following that, we then went on a sailboat, which also converted into a motorboat. Not that kind of motorboat, folks. One that goes on water. And that reminded me very much of my annual trips with the men of Ushot, the men of my village, to the Isle of Wight. The men of Ushot boat trips, of which I am very little help when it comes to boating, as I may have told you this before, but I am a self-diagnosed dyspraxic. And for those of you who don't know what dyspraxia means, as when I've made that phrase, or said that phrase in the past, lots of people have gone, what? Dyspraxic? It basically means that I'm pretty incompetent when it comes to any form of manual handling, intricate moves that you have to do with another apparatus is probably the best way of putting it. So, drawing, for example, terrible. Being able to tie different knots, I know what you think, it might be easy. No, terrible. I'm quite clumsy as well, and carrying multiple things at once, or doing new physical tasks for the first time and for the next 20 times is incredibly difficult. So when it comes to boating, not really my forte. That's where I'm reeling you back in. But the reason we were on this boat was to go and see some commemorative Maori engravings that can only be seen when you're on the lake. So that was really cool to see. A big variety of different engravings by a number of different Maori artists. And with that being said, I celebrated this art by taking a dip in the lake, in New Zealand's biggest lake. Obviously, why wouldn't you do that as an adrenaline seeker like I am? So a 5-meter jump off the top of the sailboat into the brisk 10-degree water. Had a little paddle around and then came back. Great setting for that. We then spent another day in Lake Taupo, a free day, where me and our tour guide, Robbie John, who I know I gave a bit of slander to in a previous episode, saying that his stories were, could be quite long and not have a clear-cut climax or ending. But I take that back. I renounce that statement, as me and Robbie John have become quite chummy. Friends, with tour guide friends, yeah, I guess you could say that. And well, now I sit at the front of the bus, folks, because I want to gain as much knowledge about this great country as possible. And also, he makes me laugh. He's quite a funny guy, tells some great stories actually, and we did a hike together at the mountain behind Lake Tupor. Its name? Mount Tukawar, maybe. I probably have got that wrong, but it was an easy 12k altogether, not too bad. Lovely view of the lake from where we were, and we could also see the three notorious mountains on the North Island, which encapsulate the Tongariro Alpine Crossing, which is where the other half of the group had decided to go. And well, it's fair to say, based on my previous endeavours, I had given them the sufficient amount of information so that they did not make the same mistakes I did. I recounted my stories to them only until after they had come back, and fortunately for them, and annoyingly for me, they got some great photos, and it was not misty or wet at all for them, and they could see Mount Ruapehu, which is the Lonely Mountain from The Hobbit, and they could also see Mount Ngurumohoe, which is how you say what I was saying, Ngurumohoe, yeah, which is Mount Doom, and I couldn't even see that. So with the Tongariro crossing, I don't think I made this obvious in my rant. You basically go across Mount Tongariro, up and down it, and from there you can see Mount Doom and the Lonely Mountain if it's a clear day. And it's very much not advised for you to travel this route or hike this route at this time of year, as it can get very cold, and you can be at risk of avalanche. Is it risk of avalanche, or just you're in danger if you do it? I obviously did it by myself, came out alive, but very annoyed. These guys had a great time, and I'm happy for them. I really am. I'm not frustrated or angry that maybe I should have done it again with them and seen what I wanted to see. Not at all, no. But yes, I'm very happy for those folks. So after Lake Tupor, we then made our way down to Wellington, the capital. Obviously, I'd visited all the places I wanted to see in my previous visit, apart from the incredible exhibition centre of Te Papa, which is where I went for a few hours to look at a weta. So you remember the weta cave that I went to? There's an exhibit they have at Te Papa Museum, an art exhibition which looks at the First World War War, one of the wars during the First World War in Gallipoli between New Zealand soldiers and the Turkish. And what Weta had done is they'd made these larger than life-size scale soldiers in the exhibition. And so these guys were probably, I don't know, 7 times as big as a human. I'll probably have that as my photo cover. Not making any promises, obviously, and you'll know whether I'm talking bollocks or not before you even listen to this. But I'm just speaking out loud, thinking out loud. But they were so impressive, and I remember going to Weta, seeing just one of the heads that they put up, and they said that the eyebrows for this, as the waves of Tekapo start coming in, one of the eyebrows for these soldiers would take like a group of 5 artists to take all the hairs, make all the silicon hairs, not silicon, I don't know what the material is, I don't know why I try and make crap up that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the hairs that they put on an eyebrow, it would take them 9 hours to do one eyebrow of one head, and there were 5 different of these giant size soldiers. I think there was 1 nurse. Yeah, and it was just super impressive. They had a number of different things on as well. A massive nature room, which was really cool, and you could experience what the earthquake in Christchurch was like, or maybe, yeah, in one of the suburban areas of Christchurch, what the earthquake was like for them, which was a really cool experience as well. So Te Papa, I highly recommend it. I was only there for about 2 hours. You could spend 8 hours in there, but museums are sometimes overwhelming if you try and crave in too much at one time. So I knew I really wanted to go see the Weta exhibition, and I did, and it was brilliant, really cool. So that was really Wellington. I mean, we went out for Mexican, slightly underwhelming when you have to pay 15 quid for 2 tacos. I mean, I don't care how good the tacos are. If you're paying 15 quid for 2, shocking. Do better. We went out for a few drinks, did some cheesy tunes bingo, which was good fun, with a few members of the tour, and then we had to say goodbye to our tour group in the morning, unfortunately, as some of the people were only doing a tour of the North Island and then they had to go. So that was sad, but we had a trip on the ferry, crossing from the North to the South Island, which was absolutely beautiful. You go through the Marlborough Sounds, and there's a beautiful, really dark tint of river water, surrounded by mountains and forestry, and it's so calming, so soothing. It was beautiful. It's a 3.5-hour ferry as well, included in our tour. One of the few things included in our tour. But it was absolutely gorgeous. I had a great time, ultimate serenity, and I was playing some ambient music in the background, and it really suited the mood, as the composer for this music actually created an album. His artist name is Novo Amor, and he created an album for Greenpeace when he was travelling with a crew who were doing a tour of Antarctica, and was asked to, whilst being one of the crewmates, to create an album really describing what he saw, how he felt whilst travelling in Antarctica. So if you want to listen to some relaxing music, if you're on a boat, or even if you're kind of travelling on a train down a river, it works perfectly for that. It's called the Antarctican Dream Machine by Novo Amor. Really highly recommend that album. I've listened to that lots of times and it never really gets old. Sometimes it puts me to sleep, but for all the right reasons. Anyway, after we made our way to the North Island, we spent the night in Kaikoura, which was a great little town where we first of all we arrived quite late, where we saw a seal colony on our way in, a beautiful mountain drive from the port town of Picton down to Kaikoura. Absolutely gorgeous, right on the ocean. Even if it's not advertised, it felt as good, if not better, than the Great Ocean Road. And had a really good time in Kaikoura. Then went to listen to some live music in the evening at an Irish bar. Had a Kilkenny and a Guinness, my first Guinness for a very long time, I think since St Patrick's Day. So that was very much needed. And what a little town Kaikoura is. They have whale watching experiences and albatross viewing experiences, which are, whale watching at least is highly sought after. And in the morning after, we went on a little kind of southern bay walk, and in that bay walk, myself and one of the German people on my tour, Daniel, we came across a colony of about 200 seals whilst we were walking back to the bus, and there were some very sketchy interactions, I have to say. It was really exciting and thrilling, because seals are generally friendly, but you're advised not to go up to them, pet them, because they will bite back at you. But usually they are probably more frightened of humans than humans are of them. But there were a few times when they just look so much like the rocks that I just mistook them for a rock, slightly glanced away, and then up the seal comes, makes its noise like it's got a little squeal. It definitely does not make that oh. Well, these are the New Zealand seals anyway. They make more of a rather than oh. And there definitely is a seal that makes a noise, but not the New Zealand seal. And yeah, just really caught me by surprise a few times. I almost fell back. And there's a few times where Daniel's walking through 5 or 6 seals, and he's putting his hands up saying, I'm no danger to you, which was pretty funny. And that was Kaikoura. We managed to see a whale that the whale group, the whale boat was following. And that was, getting a free whale viewing. That's pretty cool as well. Seeing that little fin pop out of the water and the blowhole giving us a big breath was great. And yeah, following that, we met our group in Christchurch. Just spent the night in Christchurch, which we're still recovering from the earthquake 15 years later. So a lot of work still in development there, which is good to see. And now we're in Lake Tekapo. So hopefully I'll give you an update in the morning. Thanks for listening to my little recap. As always, you'll listen to me in the next one, and goodbye.